Rayanam namaskrityam naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udirayit nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata-sevayā bhagavati uttama-shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtaki nivreta tarshay upagiyamana bhavo shadachotra mano birama Kauttamashloka gunanuvadat pumam svirajyed vina pashugna. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Guruve Gaur Chandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Grantaraj Bhagavatam Puran Ki Jai. Hare Krishna, dear worshipable devotees, thank you so much for joining. We are reading Grantaraj Srimad-Bhāgavatam, Canto number 10, chapter number 2. Entitled The Prayers by the Demigods. So we have come to this point of text 26, which is a very, very important verse, like all the other verses of Bhagavatam. But some are more important than others. Let's read this wonderful verse. Satya vratam satya param Satyamritam Satyavritam Satya Param Trisatyam Satyasya Yonim Nihitam Cha Satye Satyasya Satyamrita Satya Nitram Satyatmakam Tvam Sharanam Prapanna. A lot of Satya, right here. Since it's an important verse, we'll read the word to word also. Satya Vratam, the Supreme Personality of Godhead who never deviates in his vow. And there's a footnote here. The Lord vows, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bharati bharata abhyuthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srachamyam. To honor this vow, the Lord appeared. Satya Vratam, this is the vow, Vrata. Satya Param, who is absolute truth, as written in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Satyam Param Dhimahi is the absolute truth. Trisatyam is always present as the absolute truth before the creation of this cosmic manifestation, during its maintenance, and even after the annihilation. So, basically, it is not disturbed by past, present, and future. This material world, whether it's present, not present, or in between. Satyasya, of all relative truths, which are emanations from the absolute truth, Krishna, Yonim is the cause, Nihitam, entered, Cha, and Satya in the factors and that create this material world, namely earth, water, fire, air, ether. Satyasya, of all that is accepted as the truth, Satyam, the Lord is the original truth. Rita Satya Netram, he is the origin of whatever truth is pleasing. So Netram, Sunetram, or Sunetram, origin of whatever truth is pleasing. Satya Atmakam, everything pertaining to the Lord is truth, Satchid Ananda. His body is truth. His knowledge is truth. His pleasure is truth. Tvam, unto you, O my Lord, Sharanam, offering full surrender, Prapannaha, who are completely under, we are completely under your protection. The demigods prayed, O Lord, you never deviate from your vow, which is always perfect, because Whatever you decide is perfectly correct and cannot be stopped by anyone. Being present in the three phases of the cosmic manifestation, creation, maintenance, and annihilation, you are the supreme truth. Indeed, unless one is completely truthful, one cannot achieve your favor, which therefore cannot be achieved by the hypocrites. You are the active principle, the real truth in all the ingredients of creation. And therefore, you are known as Antaryami, the inner force. You are equal to everyone, and your instructions apply for everyone, for all time. You are the beginning of all truth. Therefore, offering our obeisance, we surrender unto you. Kindly give us protection. So, this is an important prayer by demigods. Let's read it. Satyavratam satyaparam trisatyam satyasya yonim nihitam cha satye satyasya satyam rita satya nitram satyatmakam tvam sharanam prapannaha. Maybe since there are 4 more devotees, so everyone can read this once. It's an important prayer, and then we'll go to the purport. So some devotees want to read, please. Everyone can read.
I can read. Satyabratam satyaparam trisattam satyasya janim nihitam cha satye satyasya satyam rita satya netram satyatmakam tam sharanam prapanna.
Thank you. Others can also read.
Hare Kṛṣṇa Prabhu, I can read. Satyabratam satyaparam trisatyam satyasya janim nihitam cha satye satyasya satyam rita satye netram satyatmakam tam sharanam prapanna.
Yes, Mataji's.
Hare Kṛṣṇa Bapuji.
Please.
Satyavratam satyaparam trisatyam satyasa yonim nihitam cha satya satasya satyam rita satya netram satyatmakam tavam saranam prapanna.
Yes. Vijay Mataji, you want to read as well? Okay, so we can try to memorize this verse. This is an important verse and the first prayer of the demigods. So now we'll go to the purport. So maybe devotees can take turns. It's a long purport, so you can read 1 or 2 paragraphs each. Yes, Vipul Prabhu, you want to start?
Sure, Prabhuji. Hare Kṛṣṇa devotees, Dhanavad Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Translation. So from purport, right, Prabhuji? The demigods or devotees know perfectly well that the Supreme Personal Godhead is the true substance, whether within this material world or in the spiritual world. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam begins, therefore, with the words Om Namo Bhagavate-Vasudevaya. Satyam Param Dhimahi. Vasudeva Krishna is the Param Satyam, the Supreme Truth. The Supreme Truth can be approached or understood by the Supreme Method, as declared by the Supreme Truth. Bhakta Mam Abhijanati Javan Jasmasmi Tattata. Bhagavad Gita 1855. Bhakti, devotional service, is the only way to understand the absolute truth. For protection, therefore, the demigods surrender to the Supreme Truth, not to the relative truth. There are persons who worship various demigods, but the Supreme Truth Krishna declares in Bhagavad Gita 7.23, Antavatatu phalam tesham tad bhavati alpa medasham. Men of small intelligence worship the demigods, and their fruits are limited and temporary. Worship of demigods may be useful for a limited time, but the result is antavat, perishable. This material world is impermanent. The demigods are impermanent, and the benedictions derived from the demigods are also impermanent, whereas the living entity is eternal. Nitya Nityanam Chetanas Chetanam. Kathopanishad 2.2.13. Every living entity therefore must search for eternal happiness, not temporary happiness. The words Sattam, Param, Bhima indicate that one should search for the absolute truth, not the relative truth. While offering prayers to the Supreme Personal Godhead, Nrsimhadev, Prahlad Maharaj said, Ballasyo Neho Sharanam Prittarau Nrsimha Naratasyo Chagodam Uddan Bhati Majjato No. Generally, it is understood that the protectors for a child are his parents, but this is not actually the fact. The real protector is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Tapasya tat pratibhidya yaha jastas tahat viviho tonu vitam tat upyat Shitanam. Bhagavatam 7.9-19. If neglected by the Supreme Personal Godhead, a child, despite the presence of his parents, will suffer, and the diseased person, despite all the medical help, will die. In this material world, there is a struggle for existence. Men have invented many means for protection, but these are useless if the Supreme Personal Godhead rejects them. Therefore, the demigods purposefully say, Shattamakum tam sharanam prapanna. Real protection can be obtained from you, O Lord. Therefore, we surrender unto you. So, the Krishna is Shattam, the supreme truth. So, only taking shelter of the Krishna, we can be protected. But man of small intelligence worships the demigod, whose fruits is temporary. And Krishna is a protector, not the parents, not the doctors, not the money, not our bodily strength will protect us. So only the taking shelter of the Guru, Vaishnava and Bhagavan will be protected. Back to Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhu. Very nice. Yes, Prabhu, you want to read the purport? This is the long purport. See, important verse means long purport.
Hare Krishna devotees, Dandavata Pranam, Jai Srila Prabhupada. The Lord demands that one surrender unto him. Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam braja. And he further says, Shokrid eva prapanna jas tavasmiti cha jachate abhayam sarvada tasmai dadami etat vratam mama. If one surrenders unto me sincerely, saying, My Lord, from this day I am fully surrendered unto you, I always give him protection. That is my vow. Ramayan, Juddha Khanda 18.33. The demigods offered their prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead because he had now appeared in the womb of his devotee Devaki to protect all the devotees harassed by Kamsa and his lieutenants. Thus the Lord acts as Shattavrata. The protection given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot be compared to the protection given by the demigods. It is said that Ravana was a great devotee of Lord Shiva, but when Lord Ramchandra went to kill him, Lord Shiva could not give him protection. Lord Balaram and Lord Shiva, accompanied by great sages like Narada and followed by many other demigods, had now invisibly appeared in the house of Kamsa. They began to pray for the Supreme Personality of Godhead in select prayers, which are very pleasing to the devotees and which award fulfillment of devotional desires. The first word they spoke acclaimed that the Lord is true to his vow. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna descends upon this material world just to protect the pious and destroy the impious. That is his vow. The demigods could understand that the Lord had taken his residence within the womb of Devaki to fulfill this vow. They were very glad that the Lord was appearing to fulfill his mission, and they addressed him as Satyam Param, or the Supreme Absolute Truth. So Hare Krishna, here we can see Prabhupada is explaining that Lord is, when he wants to protect his devotee, he comes down and give by any means. And Lord's protection, cannot be compared to any other protection, any other given by any other demigods or human being. And Prabhupada gave the example of Ravana. He was a devotee of Lord Shiva, but when Lord Ram killed him, Lord Shiva couldn't protect him. So here, and Prabhupada is saying that the demigods, including actually Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma, they came and they were addressing Lord Krishna as Satyam Param, or the Supreme Absolute Truth. Hare Krishna, Prabhu, back to you.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. We'll continue with the purport. It's a long purport. So, yes, Swiksha Mataji, want to read, please?
Yes. Everyone is searching after the truth. That is the philosophical way of life. The demigods give information that the Supreme Absolute Truth is Krishna. One who becomes fully Krishna conscious can attain the Absolute Truth. Krishna is the Absolute Truth. Relative truth is not truth in all the three phases of eternal time. Time is divided into past, present, and future. Krishna is truth always, past, present, and future. In the material world, everything is being controlled by supreme time in the course of past, present, and future. But before the creation, Krishna was existing, and when there is creation, everything is resting in Krishna. And when this creation is finished, Krishna will remain. Therefore, he is absolute truth in all circumstances. If there is any truth within this material world, it emanates from the Supreme Truth, Krishna. If there is any opulence within this material world, the cause of the opulence is Krishna. If there is any reputation within this material world, the cause of the reputation is Krishna. If there is any strength within this material world, the cause of such strength is Krishna. If there is any wisdom and education within this material world, the cause of such wisdom and education is Krishna. Therefore, Krishna is the source of all relative truth. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Oh, thank you so much. So here we are focusing on the word Satyasya yonim Nityaṁ cha satyam. So, of all the factors that create in the material world, intelligence, this material world, the cause of everything, whether one's intelligence, balam balavatam chaham, the strength of the strong, the intelligence of the intelligent, etc. I watched a video yesterday. Someone had shared. Maybe I'd like to share with you in this connection. Very, very nice video. I was inspired, and even we can share this with others. I mean, this is not an ISKCON video, so keeping that in mind. But very nice response. I liked it, and which is relevant and it's quite pertinent in this connection. That the Supreme Truth, always past, present, and future. Krishna is the truth, always past, present, and future. So he's beyond all that. He's not controlled by time. Okay, so let's see this. You're able to see the screen?
God, spiritual matter, impact on material matter.
Okay.
Of the,
Which
I want you to fill in the story of the rest of the beginning of the universe. God, spiritual matter, impact on material matter.
Okay. So 2 questions. All right.
Go ahead.
All right. Your question, where did God come from, assumes that you're thinking of the wrong, obviously it displays that you're thinking of the wrong God.
Just to give a background, the scientist challenged him, and this is, I think, the person with religious beliefs and a devotee, in short, of his own faith, but has a very nice understanding. So he's answering to that scientist, just to give a context.
God, because the God of the Bible is not affected by time, space, or matter. If he's affected by time, space, or matter, he's not God. Time, space, and matter is what we call a continuum. All of them have to come into existence at the same instant. Because if there were matter but no space, where would you put it? If there were matter and space but no time, when would you put it? You cannot have time, space, or matter independently. They have to come into existence simultaneously. The Bible answers that in 10 words. In the beginning, there's time. God created the heaven, there's space, and the earth, there's matter. So you have time, space, matter, created a trinity of trinities there. Just, time is past, present, future. Space has length, width, height. Matter has solid, liquid, gas. You have a trinity of trinities created instantaneously, and the God who created them has to be outside of them. If he's limited by time, he's not God. The guy who created this computer is not in the computer. He's not running around in there changing the numbers on the screen, okay? The God who created this universe is outside of the universe. He's above it, beyond it, in it, through it. He's unaffected by it. So the concept that a spiritual force cannot have any effect on a material body, well then I guess you'd have to explain to me things like emotions and love and hatred and envy and jealousy and rationality. I mean, if your brain is just a random collection of chemicals that formed by chance over billions of years, how on earth can you trust your own reasoning processes and the thoughts that you think? Okay, so your question, where did God come from, is assuming a limited God. And that's your problem. The God that I worship is not limited by time, space, or matter. If I could fit the infinite God in my 3-pound brain, he would not be worth worshiping, that's for certain. So that's the God that I worship. Thank you.
Quite meaningful, right? This is very much aligned with, and we can share this video with general masses. That basically the point here is saying that God is beyond past, present, and future. He's beyond all these elements because he is the creator. He is the Satyam Yoni. And Nityaṁ cha Satya. So that's the second line, that he is above all these factors that create the material world. And he has entered, Nityaṁ, he has entered in all these factors. The Lord entering everything, even in atom, andantarastha paramanu chayantarastham, he's present everywhere. So that's a nihitam guhaya. So let's read the remainder of the purport and we'll continue our discussion from here. Would someone like to read? Yes, you can't go. You want to read?
Mr. Moshe, Hare Kṛṣṇa everyone. Pranam. Devotees, therefore, following in the footsteps of Lord Brahma, pray Govindam Adipurusham Tam Aham Bhajami, worshipping the Adipurusha, the Supreme Truth, Govinda. Everything everywhere is performed in terms of 3 principles: Jnana Bala Kriya, knowledge, strength, and activity. In every field, if there is not full knowledge, full strength, and full activity, and an endeavor is never successful. Therefore, if one wants success in everything, one must be backed by the 3 principles. In Vedas, Shvetavastra Upanishad 6.8, there is a statement about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Natasya karyam karanam cha vidyayate natasmas chad bhayadikas cha drishyate parasya saktir vivadhaiva shruyati swabhaktavika jnana bala kriyacha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead does not need to do anything personally, for he has such potencies that anything he wants done will be done perfectly well through the control of material nature. Swabhaviki jnana bala kriyacha. Similarly, those who are engaged in the service of the Lord are not meant to struggle for existence. The devotees who are fully engaged in spreading the Krishna conscious movement, more than 10,000 men and women all around the world, have no study or permanent occupation. Yet, we actually see that they are maintained very opulently. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 9:22. Shall I stop, Prabhu?
Okay, Prabhuji. Want to share some thoughts here?
One thing one thing it's I just joined just before while you're playing the video, Prabhu. It's kind of in relation to that. He is the one who doesn't have past, or present, or future. He will be existing all the time. We call karta karma kriya. So he is the one who does everything. And that's the one thing which I want to add to. Please add more. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. In Bhagavad Gita also there are multiple verses in this connection. The Lord does not have anything to do. He is the supreme enjoyer. Yet he does to set an example. In chapter 3, this point is mentioned. His potencies act in different ways. So basically, he is the supreme master. Satyasya satya. So if you observe in this verse, there is satya word coming maybe like 10 times, approximately 10 times. So let's read the remainder of the purport, and then we'll discuss the verse as a whole. Okay, who would like to read from here? Akshay, Prabhu, to read?
Just start at the verse. Ananya Chintayanto Mam Ye Jana Paripashite Tesham Nityaṁ Bhishtanam Yoga Shema Mahamyaham. For those who worship me with devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, I carry to them what they lack and preserve what they have. The devotees have no anxiety over what will happen next, where they will stay or what they will do. But everything is maintained and supplied by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who has promised Kaunteya Katijani Name Bhaktya Pranasyati. O son of Kunti, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. Bhagavad Gita 9.31. From all angles of vision, therefore, in all circumstances, if one fully surrenders unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no question of one struggling for existence. In this connection, the commentary by Śrīpada Madhvacharya, who quotes from the Tantra Bhagavata, is very meaningful. Sadba Uttamam Bruyad Anandantiti Vaivede Yeti Jnanam Samudistam Purnananda Drishistata Atritvacha Tada Dana Satya Antya Chotyate Vibhu. Explaining the words Satyasa Yonam, Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakura says that Krishna is the avatari, the original, the origin of all incarnations. All incarnations are the absolute truth, yet the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is the origin of all incarnations. Dipalti ebahi dashantaram abhyupetya dipayate. Brahma Samhita 5.46. There may be many lamps, all equal in power, yet there is a first lamp, a second lamp, a third lamp, and so on. Similarly, there are many incarnations who are compared to lamps, but the first lamp, the original personality of Godhead, is Krishna. Govinda Adi Purusham Tad Aham Bhajami. That the demigods must offer worship in obeisance to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but one might argue that since the Supreme Godhead was within the womb of Devaki, he was also coming in a material body. Why then should he be worshipped? Why should one make a distinction between an ordinary living entity and the Supreme Personality of Godhead? These questions are answered in the following verses. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Akshay Prabhu. Thank you so much for this wonderful verse, the reading. So it's a quite detailed purport. Ultimately, the Supreme Lord is all truth. Satyam Satyam Punah Satyam Hari Nama Eva Kevalam. There's a verse like that. Satyam Satyam Punah Satyam. In the Narada Purana that verse comes. Let's see. Satyam Satyam Punah Satyam. Satyam Eva Punah Punah. I'm just searching that verse for one. Satyam Satyam Punah Satyam. Satyam Satyam Eva Punah Punah. Vina Radha Prasadena Mat Prasado na Vidyate. Vina Radha Prasadena Mat Prasado na Vidyate. This also verse has a lot of Satyam, that without the mercy of Radharani, Krishna's mercy will not follow. Also in the Chaitanya Caritāmṛta, if you remember, we read a verse. Krishna tomara hana yadi bole eka baar maya bandha. Krishna tare karo par. If someone says Krishna, ek baar bole Krishna tomara hana, I am yours, my Lord. Sakradeva prapannaya tav asmi iti yachati. Ek baar bol diya, Krishna, I am yours. O Govinda, O Krishna, O Madhusudana, O Hare, I am yours. Then what Krishna does? Maya bandha. This is mukta. The jiva is liberated from the material clutches. And this is the solemn vow. Abhayam sarva bhutebhyo dadami etar vatam. He gives fearlessness from the clutches of material world. He is the cause of everything. And a very, very nice point here, that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they began to pray. They began to pray means demigods began to pray. In the prayers which are very pleasing to the devotees. So these verses, these prayers are very pleasing, and they award fulfillment of devotional desires. So just by repeating these prayers of Bhagavatam, especially these selected prayers, and can anyone tell who is speaking this prayer? Like more specifically, like who all are speaking? Who all are present speaking these prayers? Anyone knows?
Brahma and Shiva, all the demigods.
Yeah, Brahma, Shiva, Narada,
Devala, Vyasa,
Asita, Devala, Vyasa,
Indra.
Indra, Chandra, all the demigods, just think about. So they are very well cognizant of their position, right? Prabhupada is mentioning that men of small knowledge, Maya Prihata Jnana, they worship the demigods. But whom are the demigods approaching? And they are all unanimously. It's not that, no, why are you telling me that he's the supreme? Maybe I am supreme. They don't have a conflict there. They all are unanimously agreeing that Satyavratam. So let's now try to memorize, because this verse is very pleasing to devotees and this gives fulfillment of all the devotional desires. So let's make an effort to memorize this verse. Last line, I guess, is we will come to that. Satyavratam. So his words, his vrata, when he says that, he means it, right? In the material world, vrata or varada, right? We were talking yesterday. How many of you heard the story yesterday about Varadraj? I think that Prabhu shared a lot of pastimes about Varadraj. And so Krishna is called Varadraj also. Varada is same as vrata. Very nice. For those who have not heard, please hear the YouTube recording. I couldn't join yesterday, but I heard today morning the YouTube recording. Very nice pastimes he shared. So vrata is same as varada. It's called Varadraj, or vratam is vow. This is my vow. Dada. Antya prati jani name bhakta pranishati. So Krishna makes multiple vows, but he never fails to, or he never breaks his vow. So Satyavrata. Satya Param. Satyam Param Dhimahi. Param means transcendental. He is the absolute truth. He is beyond this material world. Tri Satyam. He is beyond the three phases of time, the trinity of time, past, present, and future. Or we can also say he is beyond the goodness, passion, ignorance. So he's beyond all these material modes, all the different, the upper, lower, middle planets. He's beyond all the three. Satyasya yonim nihitam cha satyam. He is the cause of everything, and he is present in everything. Nihitam cha satya. Satyasya satyam rita satya netram. So let's see what's the meaning of this line. Satyasya, of all the truths, he is the supreme truth. Satyasya, amongst all the truths, who is the supreme truth? Lord Krishna. Of all the truths, he is the supreme truth. Satyasya satyam rita satya netram. Rita satya netram. He is the origin of whatever truth is pleasing. Or the other meaning is sunetram. Rita satya netram or sunetram. We can also remember. Su means good. Netram means eyes. So he is the whatever is everything pertaining to the Lord is truth. He is the origin of truth, of whatever truth is pleasing. That's the meaning of Sunetram. Satyasya satyam rita satya netram. And then the last line, they are offering their pranams and taking shelter of the Supreme Lord. Sharanam. Satyatmakam Satya Atma. So he Satchidananda. His body is completely truthful. His form, everything is fully in truth. His pleasure, his knowledge, everything is completely in truth, transcendental truth. Tvam, unto you, Sharanam, we take shelter. Prapanna, we all take shelter and we seek your protection. All the demigods are speaking. So we can make some attempt to memorize this verse. This is the first verse spoken by the demigods to the Supreme Lord in the womb of his mother Devaki. And that's the title of this chapter, Prayers for the Demigods. So we'll see a lot of those verses, but since this is very important, and we can try to memorize. Any comments, additions, thoughts here before we move to the next? Okay, so let's see what they spoke further. Those who didn't get a chance yet want to read 27. Prabhu, want to read?
Yeah, I can read. Thank you. Hare Krishna devotees. Text 27. Ekayano sau dvi phalas tri mulas chaturasaha panchavidahat sad atma saptatva asta vitapo navaksho dasachit chadihi chadi dvikago hi adi vriksha. Translation and purport by Divine Grace, Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. The body, the total body and the individual body are of the same composition. May figuratively be called the original tree. From this tree, which fully depends on the ground of material nature, come two kinds of fruit: the enjoyment of happiness and the suffering of distress. The cause of the tree, forming its three roots, is association with the three modes of material nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. The fruits of bodily happiness have four tastes: religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation, which are experienced through five senses for acquiring knowledge in the midst of six circumstances: lamentation, illusion, old age, death, hunger, and thirst. The seven layers of bark covering the tree are skin, blood, muscle, fat, bone, marrow, and semen. And the 8 branches of the tree are the 5 gross and 3 subtle elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. The tree of the body has 9 hollows: the eyes, the ears, the nostrils, the mouth, the rectum, and the genitals, and 10 leaves, the 10 airs passing through the body. In this tree of the body, there are 2 birds. One is the individual soul, and the other is the super soul. Purport. The material world is composed of 5 principal elements: earth, water, fire, air, and ether, all of which are emanations from Krishna. Although a materialistic scientist may accept these 5 primary elements as the cause of the material manifestation, these elements in their gross and subtle states are produced by Krishna, whose marginal potency also produces the living entities working within the material world. The 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita clearly states that the entire cosmic manifestation is a combination of 2 Krishna's energy, the superior energy and the inferior energy. The living entities are the superior energy, and the inanimate material elements are his inferior energy. In the dormant stage, everyone rests in Krishna. Should I? Yeah, okay. Material scientists cannot give us such a thorough analysis of the material structure of the body. The analysis of the material scientist concerns itself only with inanimate matter. But this is inadequate because the living entity is completely separate from the material bodily structure. In Bhagavad Gita 7.5, the Lord says, apareyam itastva aniyam prakritam vidim me param jiva bhutam mahabaho yedam tratyate chagat. Besides this inferior energy, O mighty armed Arjuna, there is a superior energy of mind, which consists of all the living entities who are struggling with material nature and are sustaining the universe. Although the material elements emanate from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, they are separated elements and are sustained by the living elements. Shall I stop here?
Sure, Prabhu. Do you want to share some thoughts till this point?
It's there's a lot of too many points here. But, well, the thing is, basically it's just talking about the material elements, the superior energy, the inferior energy, and the human being is part of a superior energy, but they're also inanimate matter, which is all created by the Lord himself. But then he has nothing to do with it. It's after that, it's the living entity who through the more uses all this and suffers through the different modes of passion, goodness, passion, and different modes of gunas, goodness, passion, and ignorance. And then he goes through cycles of karma and birth and rebirth. So all that is his doing. The Lord himself has created it, but he's like you said earlier, he's hands off. So anyway, that's a little bit but there's a lot more there. I'll hand it back to you. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. So we'll read the rest of the purport. So, dear Prabhu, want to read? Devaki, Mataji. Anyone who has not read wants to read?
Prabhuji, I can read.
Hare Kṛṣṇa, Prabhuji, I can. Hare Kṛṣṇa. Hare Kṛṣṇa.
Mataji, please start.
Yes. As indicated by the word dvikaga, the living elements within the body resemble two birds in a tree. Ka means sky and ga means one who flies. Thus, the word dvikaga refers to birds. In the tree of the body, there are two birds or two living elements, and they are always different. In Bhagavad Gita 13.3, the Lord says, Chitra Gyan Chapi Mam Vidhi Sarva Chetrishu Bharata. O son of Bharat, you should understand that I am also the knower in all bodies. The Chitra Gyan, the owner of the body, is also called the Kaga, the living entity. Within the body, there are two such Chitra Gyans, the individual soul and the super soul. The individual soul is the owner of his individual body, but the super soul is present within the bodies of all living entities. Such a thorough analysis and understanding of the bodily structure cannot be obtained anywhere but in the Vedic literature. When two birds enter a tree, one may foolishly think that the birds become one or merge with the tree, but actually they do not. Rather, each bird keeps its individual identity. Similarly, the individual soul, kindly scroll up, Prabhuji. The individual soul the individual soul and the super soul do not become one, nor do they merge with matter. The living entity lives close to matter, but this does not mean that he merges with or mixes with it. Asango hai ayam purusha. Although material scientists mistakenly see the organic and inorganic or animal or animate and inanimate to be mixed. Vedic knowledge has been kept imprisoned or concealed, but every human being needs to understand it in truth. The modern civilization of ignorance is simply engaged in analyzing the body, and thus people come to the erroneous conclusion that the living force within the body is generated under certain material condition. People have no information of the soul, but this verse gives the perfect explanation that there are two living forces, Dvikaga, the individual soul and the super soul. The super soul is present in everybody, Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam, Hidaye Deshe Arjuna Tishtati. Whereas the individual soul is situated only in his own body, Dehi, and is transmitting from one body to another. Hare Krishna, everyone. Yes, Prabhuji, here it is explained that the two souls in our body is compared to the two birds, the Jiva, the super soul, and the individual soul, Atma and Paramatma. But the scientists, they have given a wrong conclusion about this. They have made more emphasis on the body and haven't given any thought on Atma. And here in this verse, it is explained how there are two souls in our body, one which is Atma and one which is Paramatma. Thank you, Prabhuji. Back to you.
Thank you so much. We'll try to, so there's a lot of information in here. We'll try to understand through the whiteboard. So this verse is talking about the original tree. So the tree, just imagine this is the tree, and has three, just think about this is as roots. So eka yono asau dviphalastri mulas. Two kinds of fruit. So let's maybe write here also. So this one, the body, the total body or the individual soul. So one, we can say the original tree. Two are the phala. Two kinds of fruit. And what are those fruits? Happiness and suffering. The enjoyment of happiness and suffering of distress. So basically the two kinds of fruits, yeah. The happiness and distress. You know, sometimes we are happy, sometimes we are miserable based on the circumstances. Three roots. What are the three roots? Anyone tell? The three modes.
Goodness, passion, and ignorance.
Goodness, passion, ignorance. Sattvagun, Rajagun, and Tamagun. So goodness, passion, ignorance. So just think about the focusing at the roots. Now, what's number 4? What's the 4? Taste. Taste or rasa.
Religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation.
Yes, it's commonly known as dharma, artha, kama, moksha, right? And then the 4 purusharthas, dharma, artha, kama, moksha, and it's connected to these modes, because dharma, artha, kama, moksha could be either in goodness or in passion or in ignorance. Like one can do dharma in goodness, passion, ignorance. One can do kama in goodness, passion, ignorance. And then the topmost is sato, the Shuddha Sattva. So the four tastes: religiosity, economic development, and sense gratification and liberation, which are experienced through the five. So what are the five here? The senses.
Sense, ear, nose.
The five senses for acquiring knowledge. So, senses for acquiring knowledge. So what are those senses? Who will tell?
Smell, touch,
Eyes, nose.
skin.
How do we acquire knowledge? Simple, through our
Hearing.
ears, right? Hear, through
Seeing.
nose.
Seeing.
Jessica, seeing through our eyes, correct? Eyes, nose, ears, tongue, and touch, right? We taste through our tongue, and we feel it's warm or cool through our tongue. So the five sense organs. What are the six items here? Shat Atma, the six circumstances.
Old
What are
age.
the circumstances mentioned here?
Old age.
Old age, yes.
Death.
Death,
Hunger.
hunger, thirst, lamentation, and illusion. Right? So it's all from the verse. Sapta Tvak. Tvak means coverings. 7 coverings. What are the 7 coverings?
Skin, blood, muscle.
Muscle. Pet.
Yes, skin, blood, muscle, fat, bone marrow, and then semen. The Sapta Dhatu. The 7 dhatus. And then the 8 items are the branches. So, what are the 8 elements? Who knows that verse? Anyone knows?
Yeah.
Omirapo.
Bhumirapanula.
Touch.
Manobuddhidevacha. Ahankaram buddha kartahamiti manyate.
Mind.
So what does that verse mean? What does that verse tell us?
Is earth, water, fire, air, and ether.
Earth, water, fire, air, and ether. Very nice. So just consider these are the 5 main branches, and then some other subtle branches go also through. So just think about, forgive me about drawing, and then some smaller branches, good subtle branches. And what are the subtle elements?
Mind, ego, and intelligence.
So 1, 2, these are the 3, 4, 5. Consider them as branches. 7, and the 3 subtle. Okay, these are the different elements. And then what are the 9 things? This body is a city of 9 gates or holes, right? So gates or holes. Bhagavad Gita also says city of 9 gates. So we have 9 holes, right? You see the 2 eyes, the 2 ears, the nostril, the mouth, the rectum, and the genitals. These are 9 holes. Then 10 leaves. What are the 10 leaves? The 10 ears. So pran, apan, vyan, saman, udan, the vayus, the 10 ears. Right? Those are the Just consider this as a lot of leaves are there, 2, 3. In this tree, there are quite a few leaves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. What are these 10? These 10 are the heirs. So all these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now does that make sense? So the original tree, the 2 fruits, happiness and distress, the roots, material modes, goodness, passion, ignorance. 4 taste, dharma, artha, kama, moksha. 5 senses for acquiring knowledge. 6 circumstances. 7 coverings. The 8 branches, gross and 5 gross, 3 subtle. 9 gates and 10 heirs. This is basically what this verse. And not to forget 2 important elements here are also always there. The Lord and the Jiva, the 2 birds. Actually, I will draw them on the same branch because they are together. They're always together. One is the doer bird, one is the watching bird. They're always together. But when the Jiva takes shelter of the Supreme Lord, then the Lord gives him direction. Until then, the Lord is just observer. Updrishta anumanta cha. Akshay, you learned it? No, not yet. Okay. So Updrishta, he is a passive observer until the Jiva takes shelter. When the Jiva takes shelter, then the Lord takes an active role. So Dvi Khagau. The Khaga means bird. Kha means air. Ga means also travel in the air. Birds. So this is the original tree of life. Does that help? I think seeing the picture makes things quite clear, right? And helps us to understand better. At least I feel like that. I'm not sure if everyone may feel different, but it helps me to understand better. So we're already a little late, so I won't take more time. Any quick comments before we wrap up?
So, Prabhuji, one quick question, that in the previous verse at the end, that Prabhupada is writing in the part what that one might argue that since the Supreme Godhead was within the womb of Devaki, so we learned that Vasudeva conceived Lord in his heart and then transferred to the heart of the Devaki. It was not like in the womb that Krishna come from.
From heart, he goes to the womb.
Okay.
Lord is very naughty. He keeps going here and there. So, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Remember that we discussed about Diksha, heart to heart, and then from heart he went to the womb. Okay, so we will pause here and continue tomorrow with Gita and other activities. Tomorrow is also Ekadashi. So, a wonderful Ekadashi. Kantraj Bhagavatam Puran ki, Shai Srila Prabhupada ki, Shai Shamaveta Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki Jai. Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavani. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Kṛṣṇa.
Thank you.